Hello, we are here for one more lesson of this Idea Architecture CAD, and the topic for today's lesson will be working with drawings. So this lesson today we can resume it with the setting up of drawings and the use of the built-in aids, including create new drawings, open them and save, and the use of aids such as the grid, the snap and the orthogonal snaps. So starting with very basic and very easy functions. So menu file, we have something called new. So we have new project or select projects because as we will see along the course, the concept of the software is to save projects, and these projects have different information or other information besides the normal saving of the file. So we will see that later on in this course. For now, function new, and new basically will start the template where we will answer to all these questions, just saying next, next and so on, and it will create a configuration that allows you to start a new drawing. Besides, we have also the open, which allow you to open a file that you have already inside your computer. So something like this, very straightforward, very standard. Then we have a couple of interesting functions that are also inside file menu and grouped in these drawing utilities. So audit, recover and the purge. So the recover will allow you to repair a corrupt file, and this may happen, for example, if you are saving a file and you have a shutdown in your computer by power off, or something happened in the middle of the saving, a crash in the computer, whatever. So it will create a corrupt file. So with this function, it's not 100% sure that it will recover you of all the problems, but at least it's a tool that sometimes will help. We have also this audit that makes an evaluation of a corrupt file, and the purge will allow you to clean entities that are not in use inside your file. So it will clean your file, it will reduce the size and delete things not used. So we will see also some examples along this course. Then we have some basic functions also, like the save, which make a kind of a quick save because it will save with the name that is defined at the time. And the save as will allow you to save a drawing also, but in this particular case, as the name says, allow you to insert or input the name you want. Okay. Besides, we have also an interesting function which allows the user to password protect your file. So if you want to protect the file from certain users, or if you want to direct your file only to a specific user, then you will use this function. And when you send a file to someone, you send also the password that allow the user, only the user you want, to access the file. Then we have functions to set up your file, and you can access them in tools, and then you have drawing aids, and drawing aids open this big dialog box where you can access a lot of things. And along the course we will see some of these things, but briefly going through them. So drawing units, we have functions or options to define unit types for angular and both linear, and with a couple of more options in the particular case of angular, so angle directions, where is the angle base, and so on. Coordinate input, so we have also the definition of the snap and the grid, so you can turn them on or off and define the snapping for both snap and grid, snap behavior, grid behavior, because there are also interesting functions to create rectangular or isometric drawings. If you are interested in these particular options, send us a comment or an email and we can explain them in particular and make some examples to show for the ones among you that are interested in these options. Entity snaps allow to define what is in use for the snap modes. So we have all of these functions, so endpoint, perpendicular, nearest, quadrants, center, whatever. So you may choose among these options which are the ones that are selected or not. Entity selection, also some options for the pick boxes and the size of them and the behavior. Limits and polar tracking, also behavior for the cursor, and the automatic search for the angle. So a couple of nice functions. So in display we have also a long list of things, so there are options for a lot of things. So limits, some of them cross other options that are behind. Definition for the line weights in terms of thicknesses and some visual properties. For the grips, the same colors of the grips and the sizes, and enable or disable. Program interface, also with a couple of interesting functions to define the behavior of the software, and the viewing with the resume of what is going on. Entity creation, so visual behavior for colors, layers, line types, and what is going on. So we have a lot of functions again down here. So for the attributes, for the donuts, ellipse, freehand sketches, some of these entities we are going to see in these next lessons, because we have in the two next lessons something called one it is creating simple entities and the other complex entities. So some of these entities here are inside those lessons, so we will return to this dialog box. Hatches, also behavior for these hatches, insertions, points, polylines, shapes, whatever. Dynamic input behavior also for the cursor in a couple of settings. The format for the entry of the coordinates, polar or Cartesian formats, and relative or absolute coordinates, a couple of more things. The behavior for the dialog boxes to insert values, and so on. 3D settings, not very important for the moment. And entity modifications, it's interesting because we have these options for mirrors, default distances, and options for offset, for the fillets, for the corners, for the chamfers. So a lot of interesting things and important things. We will see some of them along the course because we will have to return to these dialog boxes. And it is important in your particular case to explore also these options and see what is possible to do inside and to define inside. Besides this global overview of these functions, there are a couple of other not very complex topics to speak about in this lesson, like the possibility to display and hide toolbars, because it is important to pass the idea that this software idea it's highly configurable by the user. So we can grab, for example, any of these toolbars. You see these small dots. So I can grab it and leave it wherever I want. So it is very easy. We can put in off state any of these menu toolbars, not menu, sorry. For example, this is called stairs, so I will take him here. So click and it is off, and I can turn it on again, for example, many different ways. We have a lot of possibilities to work with these toolbars. I would say that one of the easiest one is to come to this view menu, and then we have something called toolbars, and in toolbars we have a lot of things, and we can choose among these guys here. We should have one here called it is half Portuguese, half English, escadaria, which are the stairs. So let's put this on, okay, and here you have them again, okay. Sorry for this mixing of the language, but this is a hybrid version English-Portuguese, so we will have a couple of these things along the course, but I think it's easy to understand these differences. We have also under view command or view menu, better saying, display, we have a couple of options under this display submenu. Among them we have this command bar, which is this area here that we spoke already. It can be resized, so bigger or smaller. And this area in particular is where the user talks with the software. So here I can input commands and say whatever I want, okay? And if there is a command, the software will recognize, will ask me for values, will make me questions. So this is where we interact with the software, and it is called the command bar, okay? We have another bar also that it's shown called the status bar, and it should be also around here. So status bar, so we can have this on or off. The status bar has a lot of options. So this first area you see are the coordinates. Then we have a lot of different options that we will see in bigger detail along the course, so that we don't make this lesson too much long. And most of these are commands or options like switches on off. If we click once, it will be on. If we click another again, it is off. So grids, polar trackings, the snaps, we have a lot of things, okay? Another interesting thing to mention are the prompt boxes. If you notice, when I called this command circle, you've seen this dialog box or prompt box, as you may want to call it. Some users like this kind of box to help choose options, other not so. But we can go to Tools menu and then Options. And inside these options, it is Preferences, Display, and we have Display Prompt Boxes. It was on, so if I say OK, if I write down again circle, now I have no prompt box, okay? So it's another possibility and another configuration that you can create at your individual way of work. To finish, to mention a couple of things, selecting commands, we have three different ways. First one is a command from a menu, so we can go, as you know, to a menu and choose a command. We can choose the same command from a toolbar, from the corresponding toolbar, or we can simply dial or type a command here, and the program will also call the command. To repeat the command, so if I call, for example, circle, okay, if I want to repeat now the command, I can do simply a space bar, and I have also circle. Now escape. I can say enter, and it will return also to the last command, or simply click with your mouse on the right side, and you have also your command. Two more things. Still about this command bar, this is a kind of historic list of what is going on. So we do a lot of things, and these lines roll up and disappear, but they are not deleted, okay? If I say F2, I have that list, or if I go into view, display, and then text window, so I can show it also. The last thing here, something that we can call correcting mistakes. If I if I create something, a circle, then I have these two functions called undo and redo that are also inside edit menu. And the undo makes me think about, oh, I've created this circle, it is wrong, I've made a mistake, so undo will return back. But then I realized that no, in fact it was correct, and I can redo it again. So it will go, so one goes back, another goes forward. And this is the package of commands and of options that I had to show you in this lesson today. So any questions, any support that you may need about the topics mentioned in today's lesson, send us an email or make a comment in the corresponding YouTube video.